It's been a couple of years since I have made a video, and I want to apologize for that. I've been rather busy closing out my business because, yes, I am now pretty much retired. I'm working a couple days a week, but very soon that will also be over, and I'll have more time to start making videos again, which I've really been looking forward to. I want to talk about a lot of different subjects on my videos, obviously somewhat related to drums, but also other musical aspects of being a drummer. For example, I have an attorney I'm going to interview soon that's going to talk about the music business, copyright law, and some other things you might find interesting. Today, though, I wanted to talk about something I've been doing little by little over the last year or so, and that is building another drum studio. Because this drum studio is nice, I built it in my house, but it's unfortunately too small for my other drum sets. You might remember that my North kit was in the garage. That just didn't cut it. So I discovered in our city, you can build a 10 by 12 shed without any kind of permitting necessary. So that's what I did. And I want to talk a little bit about how I did that and some tips for you if you want to help build a soundproof or sound resistant room for your drums. So let's go outside in the backyard and I'll show you what I did. Well, it's a crisp autumn day. Is it autumn, fall, whatever season it is here in the Pacific Northwest. It's a little chilly outside, but at least it's not raining. We have a relatively big backyard, which is handy, and our house is yellow and white. So I decided when I had the shed built, which is right there, I would paint it yellow and white to match our house. The big blue CK on the door, that is from my office. I had a big sign, and since I sold my office and sold my office building, I thought I would at least save the CK. And I think it looks quite charming there, don't you? Anyway, this is the drum shed, and I put a couple solar powered lights, 25 bucks or so on Amazon. So when you walk out here at night, lights it up, makes it nice. This path, which now has apparently bird poop on it, I built this, or I should say, had it built before I started the shed project because I knew that if I was going to load and unload drums, we would want to have a path to the driveway. So this goes all the way to the driveway. Now, in this whole project, this was one of the more expensive items because to have it done cost $7,000, which was rather shocking, but the price you pay for quality work. Now, the shed has two doors. When I ordered it with an extra window because I wanted to have double thickness for soundproofing or at least sound resistance. So I have a door on each side and I have two drum sets inside. Let's open it up and see what it looks like inside. I always keep it locked because those cymbals are expensive. So it's also has to be kind of airtight. So it's a little tricky to get into it. And you'll notice, first of all, that there's double thickness. What I've done is I put the initial sheetrock, then you use this stuff called green glue, which never really dries. It keeps it kind of sticky and fluidy. And you put that between the two layers of 5/8 drywall, and that helps the soundproofness by keeping them slightly separate. In the drum studio in the house, I literally built separate walls, which is by far the best way to do it. But this is so small that I couldn't afford the extra space, so I just did this, and I did use this sticky rubber seal I got from Granger. It's foam with stickiness on one side, so I had that sealing all the doors and so forth. And of course, you can notice that the little nails are just stuck into the drywall, and unfortunately, that doesn't really hold them in place. I'd have to get super long nails to keep them in all the way, but that's just decorative, so it's not a big deal. And this handle thing is how you basically shut the door. Have to make it unlock first. There we go. It basically just clamps inside. We'll look at that in a second. And then this door, you've got two little devices at the top. Yeah, you pull it down, and then this side opens as well. See, these just pop up, and that's how that locks. And so then I have electricity run. I had a friend help me run electricity clear from the other side of the house via conduit all the way up. So I've got heat and air conditioning. And when I turn the light on, there you go. These lights are little sandwichy lights. They're about, oh gosh, maybe 3/4 of an inch thick is all. And you cut the hole, you stick them up inside the holes, and there's a little transformer. And those, again, I got on Amazon. They weren't very expensive. The floor, you can't tell because it's been carpeted. I did have a professional carpenter come in and do this carpet. Got an extra piece there to try to wipe my feet on it when I come in from the muddy wetness. But this is actually the original floor here. Then I put 2-inch furring strips with that same sticky foam on either side of the furring strips. And then I put another sheet of 5/8 inch, no, 3/4 inch plywood on top of that. So it's got a floating floor, which helps prevent the sound from translating. The sticks are about, probably a foot apart each, and they run all the way across with the sticky foam on both sides. This then on top of that, screwed down to the floor. I tried to put fewer screws than you would normally put, because the more screws you put in, the more connection there is with that bottom floor, which you want to kind of avoid. You'll notice I have this, again, flat, foamy stuff running around to try to seal things. At this side, you have the north kit, and it is facing the sewer pipe kit. On my other videos, I go into great detail about these various kits. This was a present for Christmas from my wife, 19-inch Zildjian A series medium thin crash, which is great. And I have a small mixer over here. And what I've done is I have one of these headset mics, which actually I have an outlet on the very top ceiling we'll look at in a second. And it is tied into the PA. I just plugged the PA into that outlet. So when I turn the lights on, the PA automatically comes on, and I can sing along with the music. I even have some reverb to make my voice sound better. And then the little headphones, of course. I have the same setup on both sides running into the mixer. And basically, I have a couple of powered Yamaha speakers. My phone is Bluetooth. So I bought a little Bluetooth receiver from Amazon, again, about 35 bucks. It plugs into the mixer. So I can turn my phone on, play music through the phone, through the mixer with my voice, play and sing and practice my vocals and my drumming. And I don't know about you, but if you play drums and sing, at least what I find is that each talent gets cut in half. If I'm playing drums by myself, that's okay. If I'm just singing, that's okay. But if I try to do both at once, they both suffer. So I'm practicing, trying to get better. The windows over there, you'll notice 2 panes, and that's because the outer window came with the shed. They assembled it, and then I did all the interior work. I did all the drywall, the carpeting was done professionally, but the flooring I did, all that sort of thing. And so I put the extra window on that second layer of drywall. So it's double thick windows, which again helps prevent sound from escaping. This is sound resistant, as I say. You certainly can hear the sound if you're standing outside, but it's a lot less loud than it would be if I just had the shed with no drywall or insulation. And I did put special soundproof, it's called rock wool, I think it's called, insulation in all the cracks and crevices, again, to try to keep the sound from escaping. I did the same thing on the floor between those floor strips that I talked about, the 2x2s. I also put soundproof insulation between those as well. You'll notice behind that speaker, there's a mini split, it's called. Again, Amazon, like 500 bucks. It's an air conditioning and a heater. It runs outside. Now, I had professionals install that, and it was 1,500 bucks to get it installed. So the installation was 3 times the cost of the mini split, CLV. And what I did, if you come over this way, this door kind of swings, so I have locks on the outside to keep the door open. But if you come over here, you'll notice that there's lofts. I built these lofts so that I can put drum cases up there. I also suspended one mic above, and then I mic the bass drums, and that's really all you need in here. So that sound will come through the headphones, and I can hear the drums very clearly. I have brought some artwork from my office too. After all these pictures and the clock art, I didn't know what to do with them, so I just hung them in the drum studio. The area up there is really handy to have, and I put 2x6 joists across there, so I can actually crawl around without fear of falling down. There's just a regular LED light up there. You can see this is the power that I have plugged into the outlet up on the ceiling, which is tied to the light up there. So that's handy for plugging in the PA. There's also lots of outlets I put along the base too. And I've done electrical work before. I've built a couple drum studios in the past, and my major was electronics originally. So if you're going to do something like this, if you don't have experience with electronics or electricity, hire somebody to do it, because you don't want to electrocute yourself or run afoul of local building codes and things like that. Always check with a professional. That's my big legal disclaimer. Now let's take a look from the other side, and we'll take a look at that because it's basically a mirror image of this side, other than the mixer is here and there's no separate mixer over there. And of course, the drum set is different. So let's take a look at that. Once again, we're going to close up the doors. And these things weigh a ton because of all the drywall. So you don't want to get caught between your door and your floor when you're slamming it. If your foot happens to be there, that would be painful. There's also a ramp I built out of plywood. I put a couple wheels on it and it rolls out and then hooks on the edge to make a nice ramp for loading and unloading, but it's wedged under there pretty tightly and it's a little challenging to get out of there. I may have to modify that somewhat in the future, but for now, it's under there, it's painted, has grippy surface on it so I don't slip, and a handle to pull it out and move it back in again. That's just something I added after I built the place because I realized loading and unloading is a little more easy when you don't have to lift it up over the edge. This is the other side. You'll notice there's only one door instead of two. This is a little bigger than each half door, but overall it's a little smaller than the two-door entrance on the other side. My thought was a lot of times I'll be using that exit and entry because that's where the cement path goes. If I ever get the inclination to make things even easier, I might have another path come out of this door, circle around and join up with that one. But based on the cost of all that, I'll probably just yank the hand truck through the mushy grass and deal with it that way. The other thing I did was I put an outlet on the outside. It's got the weather seal around it. And all the outlets, by the way, have to kind of be airtight. So inside the outlet, there's all sorts of caulk sealing up all the holes around the wires and everything because you want to make sure it's as airtight as possible. So you can see the conduit there goes around the house and under the deck back to the main panel. And then here on the building, I put a separate panel. It's got its own circuits here, separate for the AC heat unit, and then the lights and receptacles. Turned out really nicely. To avoid suffocating, I also added, you can see down there that white little piece of metal sticking out there, that little vent. That goes down through the wall and exit inside the drum shed near the floor. And it's not just a straight shot of open air. It goes through channels. I put pieces of 2x4 kind of like that. So the sound has to go through a channel. I also put insulation, special insulation inside. It was contained with netting so I don't end up breathing fibers. But the air basically can circulate through there. Regular circulation without any kind of induction would not be sufficient. So what I did was on this side of the drum studio, this is really hard to get open because it's airtight, I put a vent that is powered by a little bathroom fan. You can see it up there. The control for it, I think I left it on the other side, basically turns that little fan on, either sucking or blowing, either way. And basically there's a little vent down there on the floor somewhere that actually allows the air to come in. And so this will bring the air in. That then allows on the other end of the building to go out. And if I, suck it or blow it, doesn't matter. The air is going to circulate one way or the other, and that's important. That's why I put the little sign there, because after about an hour and a half, 2 hours, if you don't have some kind of ventilation, you'll pass out and probably die. And music is wonderful, but it's not worth dying for. The outlet there is just convenience. Stuck it up there since there's going to be power there anyway. I made the little wooden box so that the fan would be able to extend out and give me room for the insulation and so forth internally. What else can I tell you? Let's see. The drum set here, of course, is the sewer pipe drums. I mentioned that. There's some pictures of Woodstick. Those are the awards from the Guinness World Record people. We broke the record 3 times. And then these extended pictures on the wall show a couple of scenes from a couple of the different Woodstick years. You can see it was amazing. Our biggest record was 533 drummers all playing at the same time to a conductor. It was really exciting, really fun. Anyway, so that's basically the drum shed. It's very crowded. You can see in my toms here, I actually had to move one up above. Normally they're all across like this, but I'm about 2 inches too short. Next time I pull this whole drum set out, I'll probably move it forward a tiny bit so I can have it set up the way I really like it. But after getting it completely set up and then finding this was the problem, I thought, I'm not going to spend all the time moving the entire drum set forward. I'll wait till next time I tear it down. When you turn the light off, the PA turns off, the lights go off, and I have the temperature set for like 61 degrees just because when I get in here and start playing, I get hot and sweaty, and it's nice to have it cool. In the summer, the air conditioning will be really valuable. And in the winter, if I need to turn up the heat, I can. But generally, as I say, once you start playing, if you're doing anything aerobic, you're going to get warm. This, by the way, nice little addition given to me by my son and daughter-in-law, Christopher's drum studio. I did want to show you this latch mechanism on this side too, how it works. It's somewhat crude. I'm going to unplug my mic for a second so I can shut the door. By the way, I am very proud of this. I received the Woodstick Hall of Fame Award just the other day. Woodstick, you may remember, is an event I started with help from Don Bennett back in 2003. We broke the Guinness World Record of drummers playing drum sets together, raising money for Rotary originally, and then all sorts of other charities. It's been going on almost every year for 23 years. I turned it all over to Don Garrett, another drummer friend of mine who's now been running it for the last few years. But there are going to be links in the description to look at some videos over the years about Woodstick, and it's kind of a fun event. If you haven't heard of it, you should check those out. The other thing I finally did was I bit the bullet, spent a bunch of money, and I got the backrest and rocking socks for all of my drum sets. I had one of these for my main sonar kit, and I had other stools, Gibraltar, I think, and the bottom part of this without the backrest. And I just thought, you know, they're so much more comfortable. They're hydraulic. I got the extended leg version because I have really long legs, and it is wonderful having these backrests, I gotta say. So expensive, yes, but when you're old and decrepit like me, it's worth it. So that's basically a 30,000-foot view of that drum studio. There's obviously a lot more involved in terms of doing the mudding and putting the screws in and so forth. One little thing that happened that was annoying was I checked with artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and asked about the best way to make that second layer of drywall soundproof. Well, it was right about the insulation on the initial layer. It was right about using the green glue between the two layers, but it told me to put the drywall screws from the top sheet through the second sheet, but not into the studs. Then I questioned it because on the ceiling, obviously those screws would just rip out. And it said, oh yes, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Of course you should put the screws into the studs. So don't believe everything AI tells you because it can be really wrong. Finally, I want to thank our sponsor for this particular video. That would be Lil Agents, L-I-L Agents. But if you need any kind of promotion for your company worldwide, they're the ones to talk to. Their prices are phenomenal. Their results are incredible. Give it a look.